It is my current goal to beat the game of Pokemon Yellow every single week in a solo challenge using all 151 Pokedex entries within the game. And this week we are taking a look at the rock snake, Onix. Now this guy, within the cartoon, truly felt so cool. And honestly, when you first play the game even, when you see him with Brock, when you see him in Rock Tunnel, you just sort of get the feeling that this guy is going to be so imposing and such a danger and such a threat. And honestly, if you never catch him or you never use him, once you get to Bruno, you should kind of recognize it's not true. But nothing makes it more apparent than playing a solo challenge with this Pokemon, because it's bad, y'all. This dude looks so cool and he's so bad. Look at these stats, man. Look at my lawyer. I'm going to jail, dude. I mean, 10 attack, it's fine, serviceable for, starting off. 9 special. Ooh, you don't want to see single digit. Speed 13. It's crazy to me that the speed is higher than the attack on this guy. He is a snake made of rocks and he's big. I don't really see how that equates to speed, but okay. At the very least, our defense is great. Our defense is 25. Our defense is going to be absolutely stacked the way that the rocks are to make this long boy. But here's the rub, folks. A lot of the things that we go up against, a lot of the things that we're weak to especially, yeah, those all use special. That's a problem. That's like a major offense for this guy. And, yes, when you look at the move pool, it's almost all normal type moves, okay? For a rock ground Pokemon, the good news is we do get both Rock Throw and Rock Slide. Obviously, that's through a TM, but Rock Throw will be good enough until we can get that TM over in Celadon. And we can use Dig, which is actually really great, both for utility and also for fighting. Earthquake in Generation 1 is something that is better than Dig in terms of like a speed run because it's one move only. But Dig could also potentially help, with getting out of like kind of some of the bad situations and some of the bad moves. Just avoid some fight for just a little bit, maybe give them an opportunity to throw a fight. You never know, right? Fissure is a move that I will never use. I have banned all of the one-hit KO moves. It's just one of those things also where I really don't see a world in where Onix is outspeeding anybody. Because, the big thing is that he has to outspeed them for it to work. And then, even if he does outspeed them, it still has a 30% accuracy. Like, there's just so many things that have to go right for that move. And there's only 5 PP, so not really relevant. At the end of the day, it's kind of like Rock Slide, it's Dig or Earthquake, Body Slam, of course, the move that we all love so much in this game. And then, honestly, Harden is not the best move when it comes to taking advantage of the badge boost glitch in this game, which I will explain a little bit later. I want to be able to show you how this works. But there is a mechanic that happens in this game. It's entirely on accident. But Harden is gonna, I guess, help us. It's just really slow because it's only +1 instead of +2 every time you use it. So that's really the thing that we are aiming for. That's the learn set that we are aiming to have by the time we get to the end game. But the question is it going to be enough? Because as you can see, there's been a lot of grinding here in the early game to get some levels. Because, the first person we're going up against is really ourselves. And, no one's going to resist us more than ourselves, right? We are our toughest critic. And that's what this whole first fight's going to be. But not only do we have to fight our toughest critic, but we also have to fight our toughest critics like little brother or something. Our, I don't know, next door neighbor's kid or something. I don't even know what to equate Geodude to Onix in this case, but, the meatball to your spaghetti. That could be something, right? Okay, but all jokes aside about, the the whole, like, we're going up against ourselves. Like, that is really what we're doing, right? Like, we're going up against someone that is going to resist our moves. We're also going to resist their moves because we are the exact same typing, and we also are prey to the same exact moves, right? We only have normal type moves at our disposal, which is one of the reasons why we are doing so much grinding here in this area up until the point that we go into Brock's gym. So I am going to time skip ahead in just a couple seconds here, and we're going to go into Brock's gym at about level 15, because I think that'll give us a little bit of an edge against his team and everything like that. We're really actually going to be leveling up to level 15, actually, to be more specific, against the junior trainer, just to sort of also save some time. We get access to the move Bind, which is going to be nice because we are outspeeding our enemy. But again, unless we really hit Screech a bunch of times, I really don't know if it's necessarily the best option, but like, it does take up time and it gives them less opportunities to attack us. So it could be also a worthwhile thing to get into. This is the first attempt here, so we'll see if we can do it in one, right? There should be plenty of options. I mean, honestly, even just using Screech here against this Geodude, he does not have Defense Curl. So, you know, we do this exact same thing that I mentioned, which is we use Screech a bunch of times, drop him down -6, and then once we hit the Bind move, you see that it actually cruises through the rest of his health. Now, with Onix, we have a couple different things happening. He also has Screech, he also has Bind. So if I use something like Screech and then he uses Bind, then I'm the one that is tied up. So not necessarily a great situation. But he also has Bide, and if he hits that, that could get pretty dangerous pretty fast, right? That's a move that continues to build up power based on how much damage you do to him, which is also why Screech will be great to use in those moments. If you use Screech, not only will it lower his stats, or once we get to -6, it'll just sort of waste a turn, but it won't put any damage into him like you just saw there, and it'll just say he unleashed the damage, but there was none, so it just says, yeah, he missed. It doesn't happen. And so with this strategy, we get our way through that first gym, almost one more level too. Very, very close. Then we make our way to Cerulean City. This is a place that is filled with danger for us. So what we're going to do is we're going to start with the rival fight. Of course, we're going to immediately miss our very first rock throw, something that we got while traveling through Mount Boone, something that's going to help us out for a while until we get to Celadon. We now finally have something that's not a normal type move, which is also pretty beneficial. We also, of course, get a stab boost, that same type attack bonus. And so we're going to have that to also help make this move a little bit more powerful. Unfortunately, our accuracy has been debuffed a couple of times here, so we're struggling just a little bit in this front. But it's okay, because after a few misses, eventually we do hit enough times to take out the rival. And then we're going to heal up, get some of our PP and our HP back, and then we're going to take on the Nugget Bridge. After you get to the top of the Nugget Bridge area, you can go down the route, fight through the people, and get to Bill. He'll give you the ticket for the SS Anne. And then on our way to the SS Anne, because we need to do that before we go up to Misty, we have to fight this Rocket Grunt who has stolen the HM for Dig. This is where you get it in the game. You can't miss it. But this is the move that we're going to have on our learn set forever. So I just figured for once maybe I'd show this, and also just sort of show a little bit of the planning that goes into everything. Because there is some more planning that has to happen here. You see, the SS Anne is a place where I usually have a large time cut, right? And I don't mean that in terms of editing. I mean specifically when I am doing this, I'm usually not really speedrunning. I am trying to get a decent time because it's my first run with these guys. I'm going to do speedruns on most of them eventually, right? I'm going to try and really hone in on some of these runs in the future. But I am trying to do a decent time, right? So usually I only go and pick up Body Slam. I go into the one room that you see me come out of right before this rival fight, because that's where the rare candy is on the boat. But today, we actually spent time fighting every single trainer on the SS Anne to get some levels on Onix. And of course, the main reason for that is the same thing that we've talked about at the beginning of the game, right? That special on the right-hand side of this little left-hand corner, kind of a crazy little direction to give there, but it's still so low. It is the lowest thing that we have. We are not prepared for Misty. Misty is going to absolutely destroy us. We are 4 times weak to Misty's Pokemon, and she only has 2, which is great for us, but also it's bad because she has so much damage that she can do. Like, Water Gun is bad enough, but once you bring Bubble Beam into the equation from Starmie, oh no, dude. So that is the reason why we, for the first time in this series history, we are running over to Route 11 to fight every trainer there, get some more levels, and then head back to Cerulean City for this gym. At level 32, I really don't know if we're quite ready. I'm not necessarily great at math, I'll be perfectly honest with you, so I'm never really confident in doing like damage calcs and stuff like that. So a lot of my Pokemon career is just kind of based on vibe and a prayer, I think. So here going up against Misty, I feel like level 32 for me was kind of like, this is probably the minimum I can do. We do luckily outspeed Staryu, but we are not strong enough to one-shot it. Water Gun cuts us in half. Body Slam, though, gets a paralyze, and it is paralyzed, and then the Dig avoids the next move. We have pulled off an absolute miracle with Onix. Truly, I could not believe my eyes when that happened. That was maybe the luckiest thing I've had in one of these runs in a long time. What does not take luck is Lieutenant Surge. I mean, you know, listen, he's weak to us to begin with, and by now we're level 33. I mean, he really stood no chance, so I don't know, man. Better luck next time. And like I said at the very beginning of this video, just looking at Onix, you would think that this is the kind of Pokemon that you don't need to do everything for. But the problem is, he is. So it feels very weird. It feels very, I don't know, counterintuitive maybe is the word they're looking for, to be here at the secret headquarters for Team Rocket in the game corner. I feel like this is the kind of section where usually I would just sort of cut it for the time, right? And once again, just like SSN, not cut it in the edit. I mean, like, not go. I could just pick up a Pokédoll and use that at the Pokemon Tower. But I need the experience. Lorelei and also Gyarados for Lance is gonna be a real problem. And I don't have an answer for it other than levels. Though one thing that will help is picking up the TM for Rock Slide, which the way you do that is you go to Celadon, you go up to the roof, go to the vending machine, pick up a soda pop, and give it to the little girl that's like, "I'm thirsty, give me something to drink." So enable her cavities and then move on. At the Pokemon Tower, we begin to slightly deviate from our usual pathing. And it begins here. You'll notice that we have skipped the Celadon City gym badge. We're going to come back to it. So we're going to fight this guy here because he's easy. And we're going to get the Poke Flute. We're going to move on to Fuchsia. But we're not going to get that badge yet either. Because at this point, we're still fairly slow. And we are only at about level 40. So we're going to go to Silphco. And we are going to train up against every single person in this place. And so on and so forth. And then eventually we make our way to the rival once again. We are now at level 50 after fighting every single Rocket and Silphco employee that we can within this region. And by now that should mean that he is, again, easy. He shouldn't be necessarily all that different compared to the Pokemon Tower. I mean, yes, he does finally get rid of the Fearow, and some of these Pokemon are now evolved, but just considering the level gap, although I suppose he has defeated me before with that kind of gap, so I shouldn't necessarily let my hubris get the best of me, but I do feel pretty confident in this one. For the most part, I have an answer for every single thing on this team, for now, and so we do get this win. It feels pretty decisive. We've healed up a lot of the times, and then now we just heal up in our pocket, actually, this time, saving, I don't know, 10 seconds overall, maybe. Then we go up against the Rocket Trio. As always, they're not hard at all. So they just kind of show up as a slight time obstacle, I suppose, and they are blasting off again. And we go up against Giovanni for the second time in this video. This time, he has one extra Pokemon. However, still, everything is weak to Dig. I mean, Persian, I guess, is just a normal type, so I don't really have anything crazy for that, but 2 body slams is more than enough. Dig takes out Nidorino, Rhyhorn, and Nidoqueen, and we then get to also dig one more time to get out of this gym and move on to, that's right, Sabrina. Oh, it's not what you were expecting, was it? Well, that's because at this point, I honestly feel like she's the easiest for us. The main reason is because A, she's literally right around the corner, so it probably just saves some time, but we're not going to outspeed really anything here. So I figured just get a little bit of defense in there to boost our attack, which she has a very bad defense. Maybe I could have used one more Harden, I don't know, but I didn't want to risk another debuff to our accuracy because it's already bad enough, as you can see. Luckily, we get a paralyzed, so now we are outspeeding, and she's mostly going for Psywave. They did boost their defenses, but we are strong enough to make it through. That was maybe a little closer than I was expecting for this stage of this Pokemon, but a win is a win. Up next is Koga. We have to go up against him in order to be able to use Surf, and here is where I make my first pretty big mistake of the run. I go for Harden to boost my attack again, and they use Sleep Powder, and then they just whittle me down with Psychic, because it's not super effective, but even though my stats for Special are nice, they're bad. But honestly, I also made a mistake because, hello, I'm a Rock Ground Pokemon. These are Bug Poison. Both Dig and especially Rock Slide will absolutely crush these guys, especially if I'm hitting every single time. Which I do. Usually, if it's not 100% accuracy, it's almost like it's 50. But we actually managed to get through. Venomoth does hold on with just a little sliver of health, but Body Slam, of course, takes care of it, and we get to move on. Now, we finally make our way back to Celadon. And even at level 55, I have concern. I know I said it earlier, but again, 4 times effectiveness. And we really only have one main obstacle, and that's Tangela. Because in this generation, every grass Pokemon, with the exception of Tangela, is a dual type Pokemon. So Execute and Exeggutor are part Psychic, so there is something different for them as well. But then every other one of them has the poison typing. So Dig is going to be super effective against them. But Tangela is just straight up and down solo grass. And so that makes it a problem, and I make a mistake of trying to use a boost here to make sure that I'm faster, to make sure that my defense is shored up, but also it's Gen 1. All the grass moves are going to be using special moves. They're not going to go for Constrict because they know that they're super effective against me. So it's a wasted turn, and therefore I get another reset. But the next time that I come back, Body Slam and just going on the offensive works, because then I can dig my way into the last 2 and get that 4th badge. Which then means that all that we have left before the final badge is Blaine. Blaine is going to give us our last badge boost as well, so Dig is going to be more than enough to just get through every single one of these Mons. Arcanine has a good enough defense that he can live 1, but guess what? He can't live 2. So therefore, we get to move on to Giovanni for the 8th badge. And here, I'm going to quickly explain to you the badge boost glitch that I mentioned at the beginning of the video, because now is the first time that it will actually become relevant. In this generation, there was a glitch where anytime you use a move that changes one of your stats, if you have a badge that gives a boost to any other stat, that boost gets reapplied every time you use another move. So whenever I use Harden, for example, my special, my speed, and my attack will now all get boosted. Here is the only problem though for Onix in this situation. The other stats aren't very good to begin with. I mean, I guess weirdly enough, the speed is fine, but the attack is really, really bad, and our special is also even worse. And so therefore, even with +4 and getting that recalculated and re-added on, my attack is pretty low. And so some of these Pokemon are living through some of these hits. Luckily, By the time we get to Nidoqueen through Rhydon, it doesn't matter, because even though he hits us with an Earthquake, we are now boosted in our defense. We can easily tank it, and we get the 8th and final badge. Now, of course, that should mean that we have an easy path all the way to the Elite Four, because even though there is Victory Road, we're going to be way over leveled for all of those guys. It will be a breeze. And then with our rival, he has the formation of what that final team will be when he is the champion. But most of them don't have great learn sets in this fight. So this is probably the last time that he will be a simple fight, especially for Onix. Now, we somehow do not kill Execute on that first one. Probably Body Slam was the correct path there, but we do get the kill, luckily, because it goes for Solar Beam and it needs to charge up. It should have potentially gone for Leech Seed, if I'm honest, but it still probably wouldn't have done enough chip damage. We are going to get through this fight with pretty much all of our health, and that feels nice, because that might not be the case for the rest of the video. Because now it's time to make our way through Victory Road and on to Indigo Plateau. We are going in here with 2 resets. At the time I was thinking, well, hey, maybe things are looking up. But as always, I just have to point out, 95 special going into this moment. Now, obviously, I'm about to use a bunch of rare candies, and that is going to change that stat, but it's not going to be like a drastic difference. We're barely going to go past 3 digits here. So it leaves a lot to be desired, especially if we have to save a few rare candies in order to use our badge boost glitch the most effectively for the end game. 73 going up against Lorelai's team, basically 20 levels over, and it's looking rough. Effectively, what we're going up against is a crit machine when it comes to Dugong. Cloyster, if it doesn't die in one, will clamp me to death. Slowbro, if it goes for Amnesia, maybe I'm okay, but most likely going to use Surf, and that's 4 times effective. It's going to kill me one shot. So sometimes we're going to have a little bit of luck, like we'll actually get Dugong to be able to go to sleep. But again, we have a lot of problems with now I'm down to 1 health. And so I'm trying to body slam while it's trying to boost its special, which kind of helps. And I can one-shot the Jinx, but if I miss the Rock Slide and it gets the Blizzard, I die. Okay, well, it's not great, but that was pretty far. So it looks like it's doable. It just feels like it's a lot of RNG and a lot of, I don't know, trial and error maybe. But being 20 levels over these Pokemon is scary. It's a bad feeling. So effectively, we're going to have to take some concessions here in a moment, because if it continues, I always have a pattern of during the gyms, if I lose 3, maybe 4 times in a row, it's time to move on, go do something else, maybe train or something like that, and then come back. But usually, you know, that means there's like other parts of the story or whatever that I can kind of go do and then do maybe a little out of order and then come back. But you can't do that with the Elite Four. There's nowhere else to go. There's no more story. And at this point, I have fought almost every single trainer within this game. We're 2 hours in. There's Pokemon that are, stats-wise, I would argue, pretty weak compared to Onix, that then have outpaced him. But a lot of the times it's because they get access to better moves like Sword Stance. So there is also, you know, some exigent circumstances here. But here at this point, we now have 9 resets. We're going into this. I've left. I did 2 separate things. I flew out. I went and got the 12th and final candy that I did not already have. I took 1 extra level, and in the meantime, I leveled up in some fights against wild Pokemon along the way. So I got myself to level 76, and then I returned to Lorelei. If this doesn't work, then I don't know what we're going to do. Because out of the 9 resets that I just skipped here to show just, you know, how this works, I had 6 critical hits and 1 frozen. So that just goes to show that 2 of those were 2 hits, and that's it. So this team is so dangerous to me. Even with these 2 extra levels, which is not honestly a lot, I will admit. But on this run, we get some better RNG. We get some better situations. We get a few like 1-shots or even 2 shots with some better luck in between. And we finally defeat Lorelei with 18 resets. Okay, good. Hopefully no more grinding anywhere else. Now it's time for Bruno. It's kind of like the earlier situation where we were going up against ourselves, but now it doesn't matter as much because we have other moves at our disposal, and so we can actually get through this team pretty quickly, pretty easily, pretty handily. Luckily, Hitmonlee also gets paralyzed there. I think if he doesn't, could have probably done a little bit more damage to me. I don't know. We take out the last one of us, and then we move on to a champ who probably is the scariest thing here. That submission does hit with a lot of damage, and his defense is boosted. But luckily, we do get the win. I was a little nervous that I was going to have a very rare loss to Bruno there. But I guess he just likes to throw. He's kind of like Surge, right? Then for Agatha, though, we are very lucky because most of her team is really just a poison team. So Dig takes care of everything with the exception of Golbat, because Golbat is part flying, so you just use Rock Slide, and you're one and done with everyone on this team. Thank you so much for not being another obstacle. This is the only part of this entire Elite Four situation. I almost said entire video. We had a few easy fights in there, like honestly Giovanni, right? But it's the only time in the Elite Four today where we have a little bit of breathing room. That was the fastest situation for us. That was just bup, 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 bup. And that's also what Lance is going to do to us, unfortunately. Immediately off rip, we get hit with a Hydro Pump. Okay, not too bad. I get it. Hydro Pump is pretty powerful. 130 special. Same type attack bonus 4 times. Oh, okay. Okay. But the thing is, it luckily has a lowered accuracy, so surely it's not going to hit every single time. And also sometimes we'll get lucky with our own crits, with that Rock Slide, for example. And that is exactly what we're looking for. Then against this Dragonair, it can't use Thunder Wave or Thunderbolt against us to slow us down. So this is the perfect moment to set up. We get to +4. I don't know why I kept trying to go for it. I'm at 999, so I can't do anything else. But I still wasted a couple turns for some reason, and then I go through with Rock Slide against the rest of this team, and that is done. Thank you so much for an easier time. Then we're going to use our 12th and final rare candy, and we're going to level up to level 80. Onix is getting close to like Weedle numbers. You know what I mean? Like, that's a scary thought to have, especially for a Pokemon that has better stats and better moves, better ingredients, Papa John, than Weedle. Sorry, it's just sometimes I hear better this, better that. If I say better twice in a row, it's kind of the only option I have. Then, unfortunately, we have obviously seen that we are starting to have some major issues with this champion. It's kind of like what I was saying outside on Route 25. Like, we have this situation in which he's got a lot of answers for us. And while we do have some answers for him, it's the factor of kind of going one after another, one after another. That's obviously part of the challenge of a solo challenge, right? You've only got one guy, no heals. You have to tank all of it and get through. So, you know, when you get set up, but then you get hit with something like Leech Seed when you only have 10 HP, that's just a reset, right? Like, we know at that point, I probably could have reset it, I don't know, 3 seconds faster. Not that it really matters, but once you see that hit, especially if you don't one-shot the Cloyster, that's kind of game over. Now, the thing is that we could, if we're very lucky, if we hit the Cloyster in one shot, and we get to move on to the Ninetales and the Jolteon, could we potentially one-shot those as well and just live on that 2 health or 10 health or whatever it may be? Yes, because in Generation 1, it doesn't work the same way that it does in future generations, where if they send something out, they still consider that like, hey, the turn's over, now take the damage. In Generation 1, it was a little bit more simple than that. They just kind of went, hey, it's not done. There hasn't been a full round. I don't know if that was like a glitch or a limitation of the cartridges or what the case may be, but you got kind of lucky with that. And I'm sure someone in the comments knows the answer. I'm sure someone out there is like, oh, that's simple. It's because of blah, blah, blah. Kind of like the math thing from earlier. It's something that I don't necessarily understand, like all of the technical things on like coding and stuff like that. So I haven't really looked too deeply into it, but I'm sure there's a logical reason. And I'm sure it's also quite interesting. It's just not something that I've always concerned myself with. Like I said, I'm mostly here to vibe. I just have fun with this stuff. And, you know, at the end of the day, it doesn't make me less of a fan. It doesn't make me less of a content creator. Everyone brings a different vibe to the table, and mine is simply, let's just have fun. And that is what we're doing here despite 30 resets. We are looking for opportunities. We're looking for the best RNG in the moments that we can take advantage of someone messing up something. This is where it could start. At this point, we are dealing with a leech seed, but he gets paralyzed and he's just going to spam that. So we can take some time to do a little bit of setup. And then we can one-shot the Cloyster, one-shot the Ninetales. We can dig because we can afford to take the chip damage, and the Jolteon goes down. And that is it. Just barely over that limit that I was hoping for, but that's okay. Again, 30 resets really does add up on that time. But with 30 resets, 2.5 hours and 14 seconds, Onix makes it into the Hall of Fame. Congratulations, Rock Boy, you've done it. If you, much like Onix, have made it to this point in the video, then thank you so much for watching. And if you haven't already hit that subscribe button, it would be awesome if you hit it. I'm trying to hit 500 subscribers right now. And every interaction that you do, whether it's commenting, sharing, liking, or hitting that subscribe button, helps smaller content creators like myself. So thank you so much for watching. Be kind to yourself, be excellent to one another, and I will see you next week for another solo challenge in Pokemon Yellow.